Yeah, very good. Okay. This committee will come to order. Pursuant to notice, we meet today to mark up H.R. 850, the Nuclear Iran Prevention Act of 2013. The Chair calls up the bill, and without objection, the bipartisan amendment in the nature of a substitute that was sent to your offices on Monday is considered base text and is considered read and open for amendment at any point. After recognizing myself and the ranking member to explain the bill, I will call up a package of bipartisan amendments to be considered en bloc, at which point I would be glad to recognize any members seeking recognition to speak. Without objection, all members may have 5 days to submit statements for the record on the bill or statements on the amendments in the next 5 days, and I now recognize myself to describe the base text. Last week, the committee heard testimony from senior administration officials on the threat of a nuclear Iran. As I said then, there is no higher priority for this committee than stopping Iran's nuclear weapons drive. Thanks to the tools provided by Congress, sanctions have been stepped up over the past year and a half. Consequently, Iran's oil revenue has been dropped now by 40%. Inflation in Iran has climbed to 30%. Those are the official numbers. The unofficial numbers are twice that. But as impressive as this is, it is not enough. A loophole in existing sanctions has allowed, for example, the transfer of $6 billion of gold into Iran to buttress their reserves. And Iran is advancing its nuclear program with great determination. The number of installed centrifuges has doubled since the fall of 2011. These centrifuges are getting more advanced. Iran's nuclear activities are falling farther out of view of international inspectors who are being stonewalled. Without question, we have to play every card and we have to pull every lever that we have. This legislation, developed with Ranking Member Engel, aims to do just that. In short, we attack Iran's oil exports, we hit its brutal leaders, and we crimp its access to overseas cash. Since key oil sanctions were passed, and by the way, that was over administration objections at the time, but since those key oil sanctions were passed in December of 2011, 1 million barrels of Iranian crude per day have been taken off the market. Yet countries still buying Iran's oil continue to receive a, quote, significant reduction exemption from the administration. This bill would compel that another 1 million barrels per day be taken off of the market. Now is the time to snap Tehran's Achilles heel. Simply put, without oil revenue, there is no cash for atomic weapons, and without oil revenue, hopefully, we also crimp the funding for Hezbollah. With this bill, we will work to limit Iran's access to overseas foreign currency reserves, blacklist more sectors of the economy, and begin to target significant commercial trade with Iran. Shipping is targeted in this legislation as well. We squeeze and then we squeeze some more. Importantly, this bill seeks to ensure that when the administration imposes sanctions on any entity that provides precious metals to Iran, like gold, that they have every sanction available to them. And we extend sanctions aimed at curbing terrorism and proliferation to human rights violators, standing by the Iranian people who are suffering abuse and yearning for freedom. The Iranian regime also systematically denies the Iranian people humanitarian supplies, as we heard from the administration last week in their testimony. I should recognize that Chairman Emeritus Ross Leitonen and former Chairman Howard Berman helped put in place many of the sanctions we are building on today. This committee has historically led the way on Iran sanctions, and always in a bipartisan way. Today, we continue moving ahead with a bill that now has over 330 co-sponsors. It is critical that the administration aggressively impose all Iran sanctions. This is a very tough bill, as it should be. The threat is grave. And at the end of the day, I know the committee wants to see Iran's nuclear weapons effort ended by peaceful means. That can only happen with crippling sanctions. I now recognize the ranking member, the co-author of this bill, Elliot Engel from the Bronx in New York City, for his opening remarks.